what are we doing? How are we training where our focus is, give me the number, what's the number? Come on, guys. Technology is good, but just like everything in moderation. We cannot just strive for the outcome. We have to figure out what that process feels like and go with it. Welcome to the Weekly Dose. My name is Jamie Southern. We've been talking about speed versus spin. I was just trying to compare the pitchers now versus what I went through. What is different and why is speed so important to every pitcher? I'd love your comments. I'd love your thoughts as well. I think we can combine both worlds. So the pitchers get to be well-rounded versus focused on just the speed. If you ask a pitcher, what is something that they're working on? Most often they're all saying, I want to throw harder. Why? Why is that their answer? Why do they not say, I want to get more movement on my pitch, or I want to be able to strike out more batters or give up less hits? Why is it always, I want to throw harder? Is it because speed is something that can be measurable? If you are probably 14 and up, you probably have a radar gun or you have access to one with your pitching coach. You are seeing those numbers more frequently than you probably should. We look at social media. Every night, if you're scrolling through social media, you're seeing a pitching coach post a pitcher's speed. Oh my gosh, they hit 60 or they hit 50. Speed is thrown at us. So when I see somebody that's my age throwing 60 miles per hour, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to throw harder. I got to throw harder. So that's where I'm thinking, is that what it's come to? Because it's something that's measurable. It's a goal that we try to achieve. It's a measurable goal and a number, black and white, that I want to get to. Two of my daughters pitch, but one of my daughters just played in her first 10 and under rec season this past fall. Because I have a radar gun, because of what I do, I took their numbers and we just kept it to ourselves. We didn't even tell them because that's not what they should be focused on right now. We just wanted to see what that looks like right now. So at the end of the season in the fall, it was getting to be closer to Christmas time. And I said, now that you've thrown in your first season, let's go out there and let's just see what that looks like. And she gained 6 miles per hour in just one little season because she got her rhythm and we kept working and practicing and she's throwing weekly. Things started to sync, better timing, better release, all that. So I did tell her that number and I told her finally the first number, but that's not what I wanted her focus to be. I wanted her focus to try to get the batters out, to throw swingable pitches. That was our focus. So I look back in my journey, people didn't have radar guns. That's not a thing. Radar guns cost like thousands of dollars back 20 years ago. They just were not attainable. Your pitching coaches didn't have them. I remember only being clocked one time in my entire career at a softball tournament. In LA, somebody had it, and what do I do on the mound? I try to throw it as hard as I can. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I gotta throw it harder. It wasn't who I was. But that was the first time that I felt like somebody was putting a number behind me. Because we didn't grow up worrying about how fast we threw. We knew that we threw hard. I knew that I was a hard thrower because I compared myself to the other teams that we played. But it wasn't my focus. That's not why I felt like I was a good pitcher. It's just different times of what we're exposing our daughters to. So if I were you, if you were a parent, and if you're a pitcher watching this, stop focusing on the number. Of course, we have access to that technology and I think we should use it, because it can drive us. But weekly, every other week, checking your speeds, give it a rest. Give it a rest because that is not what makes you an elite pitcher. And when your only focus is to just try to throw harder, you are not going to be an elite pitcher. You are not going to have the balance of what it means to be an All-American pitcher. An All-American pitcher, you can have speed. You don't have to. You have to have movement. That's a sure thing. And you have to know how to use your pitches and get batters out. So when you're focusing on the one thing that really doesn't define an elite pitcher, we've seen All-American pitchers throw from 62 to 70. The numbers doesn't matter. It's how we can get batters out with the movement pitches that we have. Speed is the only thing that people can really shoot for as a goal because it's measurable. If I were to ask a pitcher and they say, I really want to get more break on my pitch. Okay, great. But how as a pitching coach can I measure that? Rapsodo was the best way to look at your spin numbers and to see, oh, this breaks 3 inches or this breaks 6 inches. But those cost a few thousand. So to have that in your home is really not realistic for most of you. Our pitching coaches might have one in the facility. That's fabulous. You may go to a college camp that utilizes Rapsodo, and with that, you have some numbers to go off of. But then you have to go back to the camps to get those numbers to shoot for the goal. So I think our focus is more on speed because that's something we can see if we're achieving. We look at spin and we look at movement, and we know that's one of the most important things to have as a pitcher as you get up to the higher levels. How do we really measure that? How can we make that a focus where we can take those little steps to measure before a season and after a season throughout the year? That's the question. Growing up, our focus wasn't really on movement and spins. Like, we didn't have any tools. I remember playing Cal Berkeley in college. It was my sophomore year, and I see Christina Thorson over in the bullpen across from us spinning something yellow. And I'm like, what is she doing? What is she using? That was the first time I saw a tool that was being used. I was already in college. Our focus growing up wasn't about spins. We were told how to hold it. We were told how to spin it off, where we should finish, what we should focus on. But you know what my warm-up looked like throughout my whole career? I would go back to 30 feet, 35 feet, and just slowly start loosening up. I didn't do Ks. I knew how to spin the ball with my fingers. Thank God it just came naturally. And I just warmed up my shoulder. My fingers know what to do. It's been 15 years since I pitched in a game, and if I grab a ball right now, I can still make the ball move. My fingers don't forget. My shoulder's out of shape. My legs are out of shape. But the spin is always going to be there. That's how I warmed up. That's how I practiced. Our focus wasn't on spin and break. Our focus was on how to get batters out. That was our focus. My focus with my talks with my dad after games was like how to get that batter out, how you can be strategic with it. Could you have gone off a little bit after I gave up a big hit? Probably, Dad. Okay, maybe that change up, we got to put it over here. Those were the things that I focused on. Because remember, the 3 important parts to becoming this All-American pitcher, you really got to know how to get the batters out with what you have. That's what I focused on. Because the other things, that just wasn't in our life. And thank God it wasn't. Because this is the fun part. The fun part is being strategic. I feel sad for the pitchers these days that are robotics, that look in the dugout and tell me what to throw. Okay, I throw a curveball. Like, you don't know how to read the batter. You don't know if the batter's feeling down. You don't know if the batter's embarrassed because she swung at your rise ball. She's laughing. You're going to get it again. You think that was funny? Let's see it again. That's the fun part, is playing the game. Pitchers these days don't get to play the game because they're focused on throwing hard. They're focused on wanting to throw to that number because they think that number is so important to colleges. Just my thoughts. This is my opinion. I have daughters. They're not in the serious pitching yet, but we are not going to be heavy on speed. We are going to be heavier on spin because we have tools now that can teach pitchers how to spin the ball correctly. Ultimately, I want them to know how to get batters out. That is going to be my focus. Whatever you have, maybe it's just a fastball. Know how to use your fastball to get batters out. You have a fastball and a changeup, know when to pitch it. Know how to read the batter. There have been All-American pitchers in college that have just had drop balls and changeups. Go figure. They know how to be the pitcher. There's nothing special to it. It's just, I think the focus on pitchers these days is in the wrong area. We have technology like we didn't before. Can we combine the two? Can we say, maybe I'm going to lay out some technology and I'm going to just really focus on trying to get the movement? If you go to Facebook and you Google the group, The Weekly Dose, we have a printout for a chart that you can use in game, because the only way that is a good measure of break and movement is if you can tally or count your spins with swings and misses, with crap hits, with foul balls. What are you getting in a game with these batters? Are you getting swings and misses? Because that's a great pitch. Maybe your rise ball only gets foul balls. That's good. That's a good pitch. Your rise ball is good. Is it great? Not yet. Parents, challenge your daughters to say, hey, how can we get this rise ball to give you more swings and misses? How can we get this curveball from crap hits to foul balls to swings and misses? How can we do that? And that's a way that you can measure. So that chart is in there. We can always post it again. If you guys need that, just let us know, send us a message. Maybe that's the way we can measure spin, because Rapsodo isn't as attainable and it's not there frequently enough to use. And you'll find colleges have it. We don't use it a ton because there's more to it. Now, we need to test the pitchers because they like to see if they're improving. They like to see what their numbers are. Sometimes they think a pitch is so good and it doesn't get as much movement as they thought, or if they hold it a different way of the grip. We've had one of our pitchers do that. She holds her drop curve in a certain way. We changed her grip and she gained 2 inches of movement. She needs to see that. She needs to buy in to believe that. So I think technology is wonderful, but it shouldn't be our focus. I have been giving lessons in cages, and in the next cage over, a batter who has technology and she's hitting, and then she immediately looks down at her phone. How fast was that off the bat? What are we doing? How are we training where our focus is, give me the number, what's the number? Come on, guys. Technology is good, but just like everything in moderation. We cannot just strive for the outcome. We have to figure out what that process feels like and go with it. Okay? I challenge you, parents. Focus on how you're wording things to your daughter. What are you telling them? What is the focus that you're telling your daughters is most important? Pitchers, if you are watching this, I challenge you to figure out where your true focus is and what your weaknesses are and work on them. If it's speed, that's okay. Like, you should want to get us faster. I'm not saying that's a bad goal, but are you focused on your spin? Why aren't you? Is it just hard to measure? Are you focused on getting batters out and learning game to game? Where is your focus? I would love to know your comments because it makes me wonder how I grew up and how pitchers are growing up and how we can make it better. Let me know, and I'll see you guys next week.